When most gardeners think of composting, they picture steaming piles that need constant turning, exact temperature monitoring, and meticulous layering every week. But buried in the quiet traditions of older gardeners lies a slower, simpler, and remarkably effective method: cold composting. This set-it-and-forget-it system works silently through the winter, needing little more than a balanced start in November. Come spring, it rewards patience with rich, dark humus that's ready for planting season without ever demanding daily work. Cold composting works because nature never stops recycling, even when it looks like nothing is happening. Unlike hot composting, which depends on high temperatures and constant aeration, cold composting mimics the forest floor. Leaves, stems, and organic matter slowly decompose over months at ambient temperatures, fueled by soil microbes and moisture rather than heat. Winter doesn't kill these microbes, it only slows them. Beneath a protective layer of leaves or straw, decomposition continues quietly, breaking down your waste into humus without steaming or stirring. For gardeners who prefer efficiency and minimal effort, this approach is ideal. It's continuous, meaning you can keep adding material through winter, and free, requiring nothing more than what's already in your garden and kitchen. The goal is to build a tall, slow breakdown compost heap in late fall that traps its own warmth and moisture while feeding microbial life all season. Start with a strong foundation that drains well and stays slightly moist through winter. The base determines how effectively your cold pile will breathe and drain. Begin by choosing a shaded corner that doesn't flood during rain but still receives indirect moisture. Lay down a rough, airy foundation about 6 inches deep using twigs, dry stems, or shredded sticks. This layer prevents waterlogging and allows oxygen to flow from below. Then comes the secret to all cold composting success: balanced layering. Every heap needs a mix of carbon-rich browns and nitrogen-rich greens. A reliable ratio is roughly 3 parts browns to 1 part greens by volume. Browns include dry leaves, shredded cardboard, straw, and dead plants. Greens include vegetable scraps, spent flowers, grass clippings, and coffee grounds. In November you'll likely have an abundance of browns, so, store a bag or two of them nearby to balance the wetter materials you add later. Layering correctly at the start sets the entire winter process in motion. Begin with your woody base. Add a 4-inch layer of browns, then a 1.5-inch layer of greens, followed by a light dusting of finished compost or garden soil to introduce microbes. Repeat this pattern, alternating materials until your pile reaches at least 3 feet tall. Taller piles, around 4 to 5 feet, insulate better and will continue decomposing even during frost. Each layer should be damp but not soggy. The perfect texture feels like a wrung-out sponge. If it's too dry, add a watering can of rainwater or diluted compost tea. If too wet, sprinkle in extra dry leaves or shredded cardboard. Maintaining that moisture balance is key. Ausaugen. Too much water suffocates microbes, while dryness halts decay. Some gardeners swear by sprinkling wood ash or crushed eggshells between layers to add minerals and moderate acidity. Both are useful, but only in small amounts. About 1 cup of ash or 2 handfuls of shells per 2 feet of material is enough. Your pile becomes a living slow cooker, without ever needing to turn it. Once built, cover the top with a thick layer of straw, hay, or even old carpet. This acts like a blanket, trapping warmth and preventing rain from leaching nutrients. Resist the urge to turn or disturb it. Turning is for hot piles. A cold pile thrives on stability. Microbes, fungi, and worms will move through it at their own pace, breaking down materials gradually. Throughout winter, you can keep adding new layers. Kitchen scraps, wilted herbs, or pruned stems can be tucked under the top cover. Always add a thin layer of browns afterward to prevent odors and maintain the carbon balance. The beauty of this continuous method is that you're feeding the pile over time rather than managing it intensively. By late winter, decomposition may appear slow, but deep inside, the lower layers are transforming. When spring arrives, just lift the top few inches of coarse material aside and dig into the base. You'll find moist, crumbly compost rich with earthworms, nature's final stage of refinement. Cold composting requires patience, but the reward is living humus ready for planting. The end result isn't sterile or uniform like store-bought compost, it's alive with microbial life, and when you add it to your garden beds, it immediately improves structure, aeration, and nutrient retention. You can use it as a top dressing around perennials, dig it lightly into vegetable beds or, mix it with soil for seed starting. If you started your pile in November, you'll have usable compost by March or April, right when gardens awaken. The remaining undecomposed material can simply be stacked again for the next batch, keeping the cycle, continuous. For those seeking an effortless year-round system, maintain 2 piles side by side. One breaks down while the other receives new material. By alternating every few months, you'll have a steady compost supply with almost no turning required. Even in cold weather, good layering and moisture balance make all the difference. To illustrate how crucial this balance is, consider a practical example. Suppose you add a bucket of fresh kitchen scraps every week. For every 1 bucket of greens, add 3 buckets of browns, maybe a mix of dry leaves, straw, and shredded paper. Sprinkle a bit of soil, keep it lightly moist, and you've maintained the perfect carbon-nitrogen ratio without effort. Cold composting is not lazy gardening, it's intelligent gardening. It uses time as a tool instead of labor as a burden. While others struggle to maintain heat or chase the perfect temperature range, you'll let nature handle the work. This forgotten gardener's secret deserves a place in every backyard. A well-built cold compost heap is a quiet ally. It feeds your soil while you rest, turning scraps into humus and waste into fertility. It proves that sometimes, the best gardening results come from restraint rather than interference. If this guide helps you bring life back to your soil the easy way, remember to subscribe to Gentle Herb Gardening and share this with a fellow gardener who still believes compost must steam to succeed. The real magic, as always, happens slowly, beneath the surface.